Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see if we can get this live stream working well. Again, this is only day 2 of live streaming, so it's gonna take me some time before I get the host set up a little bit more, started a little bit more effectively. But good morning. Today is the last day here of 2024. So pretty interesting. I got a few topics we can start off, but like always, feel free to let me know on the comments below if you have any questions. Vin, what's going on, Vin? Good morning. Good morning. Just gonna be trying out some few things here and there. So let's see if I can show this. Oh, wait, that's here on YouTube. Just gotta get some stuff fixed really quick. Give me one quick second. I just want to try some of the features I have here. Hey, Jose, can you cover Unity, please? Rot and cheese. You know what? Unity is definitely one I'm looking at. I really haven't talked about it much since it hasn't been too much in the semiconductor space. But Rod, I think I'm gonna do a video on Unity pretty soon. What's going on, Terry? Good evening. I am on the other end. Good evening, then. So I'm just going to show some things on stream real quick. I just want to make sure things are working well on my end. Trying some new things. So if I am able, when you guys have questions, I should be able to post it there as well. So let's see what we have. All right, yeah, so things are coming up. Okay, good morning, Jose. What's your thought on Serve Robotics, right? So, all right, now that I got everything working here, let me just move things to the side, and then we can get started with the episode as intended. But yesterday, right? I mean, just starting off yesterday, we did get some great news for the overall AI space. And let me just share screen so we can do this episode right. Okay. And maybe I should, give me one quick second. Sorry. I'm just trying a new system out and I'm definitely not good at it. All right, so first let's just kind of start off with what I have for today's intro, and then we can kind of move on to some questions. Lang has a question about Serve Robotics. One I haven't really looked into too much, but I definitely know Nvidia has the investment in it, right, Lang? But yesterday we got some great news for obviously Nvidia, but the overall semiconductor space. For Nvidia, we had 3 things, right? We had that Run AI acquisition, which helps with GPU orchestration. Then we also had news of ByteDance, which are the parent companies of TikTok, expected to buy roughly $7 billion of AI chips from Nvidia. Again, continues to show that dominance of AI, of Nvidia's strength in the AI market. And finally, we had one of my favorite things was, let's see, Dr. Jim Fan. He kind of posted something yesterday about the robotics market. So Dr. Jim, he is a senior research manager at NVIDIA, and he works with the Groot project there at NVIDIA. And he talks that he believes 2025 is going to be the year of robotics. And he kind of posts a lot of different robotics companies that are using what's going on, Matthew? Hope everything's going good with you, Matt. But he posted that, and let me kind of zoom in, maybe it might be easier for you guys to read. He pretty much posted that, hey, look, 2025 is going to be a wild year for robotics, and every year after that is going to get even more and more interesting. So I think I've mentioned it in a few videos that, to me, the 2 main markets where AI is really going to take over. Hey, Matt, you're from Jersey too? Pretty nice. I'm here at Jersey too. So what's going on, Greg? So AI, I think the 2 main markets that I think it's going to take over is going to be robotics. And remember, when we think of robotics, I think most people think of humanoid robots like this. I think in robotics, there's so much more, right? There's autonomous driving, which are robots as well. Cars at the end of the day are robots. Kind of those last mile robots, kind of, I think more like Star Wars themes, where you have robots of all shapes and sizes. I think that's where we're gonna see a lot of the robotic industry, drones as well. So I think 2025 and beyond, we're gonna get a lot of solutions for the robotics market. I'm pretty New Jersey strong, yes. Maybe that's what those drones have been around here. Yeah, so rotten cheese. I want to do a more in-depth in Unity. Unity is one. I mean, with current stock prices, and I know I'm deviating. Um, it's the it. I missed it. It went down all the way to like $16. But still at these levels, I wouldn't mind dabbling a little bit more. Um, but yeah, the robotics market, I think, is going to be big. I think there's more than humanoid robots. Everybody's just getting fascinated with humanoid robots, but the robotics market is going to be so much bigger because it's more than that. And yeah, happy New Year's Eve to everybody. I mean, again, second time streaming, so I'm still a little off on my game here in the streaming world, but appreciate all the support. There might be some, are some people hitting New Year's already? I like this being live. Awesome. Happy New Year's to all too. So pretty cool, in my opinion, for the AI space. The other thing that we talked about yesterday, and I'm not going to play the video, but yesterday there was a question that talked about DeepSeek. And DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company that supposedly made AI model that's as strong as GPT 4.0 and as strong as Claude 3.5. The bad thing about this and what created some form of questions in the semiconductor spaces, the research firm that did this mentioned that they did it with a lot less compute power than any other company out there. It was like at a fraction of a cost of what OpenAI did, of what Claude AI, of what Claude Anthropic did. And it seems like CNBC tried it out. I haven't tried DeepSeek yet, but they mentioned when they were asking what model it was responding that it was GPT-4 or it was an OpenAI model. So what many people are now speculating is that China's DeepSeek did not really train on its own data set. It just trained on the outputs of these top of the line models. So there's two ways to think about this. One, in theory, that's against terms of services when using ChatGPT 4.0, right? But the first thing that comes in mind is, hey, look, you can develop a top of the line model if you copy somebody else's work. And I mean, that works with anything, right? But at the end of the day, you might not be able, it might just be memorizing stuff and not really be a top of the line model. The second thing is you're always going to be second best. So I don't think this is going to create any form of negativity to the semiconductor market because there still has to be the company that develops that top of the end model. So it was pretty interesting that we kind of heard that it was responding. It was responding with saying that it was an open AI model. So I thought that was pretty interesting and kind of taking away some of the fear for AI companies. Good morning from New York. Good morning, New York. Good morning, New Jersey. Good morning, everywhere. Greg, I tried DeepSeek 2 and was not impressed with their hosted version on their website. I think most players don't really have, and I think that's the case, Greg, with most open source models. I think most open source models don't really tend to have a great website solution. I think the only ones that are really good are kind of like Perplexity, OpenAI, and Anthropic. And those three players are not open source, right? Those three players are closed solutions, even though we have OpenAI. But Meta with their Llama, it's a little bit interesting, but not the best. And then I think you're going to see that with a lot of the open source as well. They don't really focus too much on their website hosted versions. Because at the end of the day, right, the main purpose for these open sources is so when you don't run them on their servers, you're running them locally somewhere on your infrastructure, on your solutions, on your hardware. Midwest and Matt, man, you guys, and Greg, I mean, so many of you, Lang, appreciate the constant support here on the channel. So a lot of different news. I want to see what we have today. Any big news coming out of TrendForce in the semiconductor market? Alex, I did see this question. So what do you make of Doug Cass' assertion in the street about double orders of Nvidia GPUs and a sudden oversupply? You know, normally that tends to happen, Alex, and I don't really know who this Doug Cass is and how respected he is in the industry, but there is a little bit of a difference with why oversupply and double orders is not a fear for me this cycle. And that's because right now the semiconductor space has a supply constraint, issue, right? So with the supply constraint issues, Nvidia is only going to take it's not going to take double orders because they're going to want to make sure they hit everybody else. The other thing is with the supply constraint market and with revenue recognitions, it's not something that I would be fearful of either. So I don't think there's double ordering for supply constraints. Nvidia is also, for those that are not familiar, NVIDIA also tells their customers, hey, look, we're going to release Grace Blackwell 200 this year. Next year, we're releasing Grace Blackwell 300. The year after that, we're going to release Rubin and then Rubin Ultra and then whatever comes out after Rubin. So NVIDIA tells its biggest customers like Microsoft, like Amazon, like Google, if you're going to purchase, don't purchase everything right away because our models are going to get better. Just purchase what you need for this month, for this year. Then for next year, we'll get you your allocation, your supply. So purchase what you want for next year and then the year after that. Because NVIDIA, at the end of the day, doesn't want to oversupply one customer with so much inventory because at the end of the day, they are going to, that will be bad for the business, right? So NVIDIA, in my opinion, is doing really well at controlling the whole supply chain line. And that's what's different than a lot of other semiconductor companies, right, Alex? Where, for example, a company like AMD, they don't work on the whole system. They just work on the one chip. So they miss out a lot on the whole supply chain line. NVIDIA, they work really closely with everything, the whole dynamic from building the chip to building the system. So they really, really don't miss out on any of the hiccups that can happen because they know everything happening throughout the whole line. So I think that's one of the strengths that NVIDIA has with the supply chain and kind of working with the whole process. It allows them to see a lot of these things. So I personally wouldn't be worried about supply chain issues, about double ordering, or about oversupply. The only thing, Alex, that I would kind of be worried about is we are seeing all these mini data center companies coming out, right? You have like a data center company coming out all over the world in different states. Eventually, some of those might go down, might go bankrupt or something. And once they go bankrupt, they might have to try to sell kind of their infrastructure solution. And that alone can build some form of AI supply bulk. But the only way that could happen is if the infrastructure market is not growing revenues as quickly as expected. So yeah, those are that would probably be my biggest fear of oversupply is if we start to see these neo cloud companies start to fall under. If we see any neo cloud companies start to declare bankruptcy, start to talk about maybe merging or maybe not expanding as quickly. And I think those are going to be the first, the neo cloud, not the big tech giants, the neo cloud. So we have to focus on some of these neo cloud players and see how that market is emerging. So yeah, let's see what else do we have. Hopefully that answered something there, Alex, about this overall oversupply chain issues. Are you excited? Let's see this question. So Greg asked, are you excited about Aehr earnings coming up? Silicon carbide and gallium nitrates, great for robotics. Yes. So if you guys are familiar, we have talked about Aehr stock system for a while. Earnings, I believe, are next week. The market is actually really enjoying Aehr right now. The stock year to date is still down because the semiconductor equipment space has really not done that well. But I believe the semiconductor equipment space is going to do really well in 2025 and 2026. Luckily, we started talking about Aehr not in the 20s or not in these peaks where a lot of people were excited. I think our first Aehr stock video was below $15. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, Aehr Test System, like you mentioned, they really focus on doing kind of this burn-in test. What they do is kind of doing like a stress test on chips. And the chips they usually focus on are the ones that go on high power systems like electric vehicles. And now also, which could go in things like robotics. And now we're seeing it as well, chips that can also probably move into AI server motherboards. So you kind of have those testing as well. Now, the other two avenues that Aehr Test System is also working in is one optical burn-in test. So let's see opticals, let's see Aehr optical They're working on some optic solutions. Let me see. Photonics. Yes. So Aehr Test Systems ships their new system to burn-in for stabilization of photonics ICs, which is pretty great, obviously, for things like optical I/O, which is what you're using to not necessarily for NVIDIA's NVLink, but to kind of do that stuff, to communicate within the chips among one platform. So optical I/O is pretty good and the kind of photonic device burn-in is good. And now they also have a system that they're using to burn in AI accelerators. And I think they recently mentioned Aehr AI order. Yep, Aehr Test System jumps on first AI order for $10 million. So $10 million obviously looks like a little bit, but Aehr Test System is a very small company, market cap of $503 million. So it's all about perspective. I think the market right now is getting really excited because they're seeing things like like optics, like photonics, like AI accelerators, and then we can see the overall growth from the robotics and EV space. So I'm really bullish in Aehr Test System for 2025 and 2026, and also for kind of the post 2025, right? I think the semiconductor equipment market is going to have a really good second half of this decade, right? 2025 to 2030 is going to be great for semiconductor equipment. While I don't own ASML and I usually don't buy it, I think this one's also getting ready to have a next nice 5 years. And I'm sorry if I can't really kind of think of a price targets for the next few months, but I think in the long term at these prices, companies like ASML, semiconductor equipment plays are looking pretty attractive. Obviously, things can continue to go down, but as a long-term investor, this market is really grabbing my attention. So let's see what else, Jose. Good answer. Jose knows NVIDIA. Thank you. What else do we have? Let me see what questions I might have missed. It's happening with the Bitcoin mining. A lot of chips were ordered. Yes, Alex, and it did happen. If we're talking about NVIDIA's and kind of oversupply issue with Bitcoin mining or double orders, the main reason is AI chips at that point weren't really constrained to some extent. And it wasn't really for the hyperscale players. So Nvidia was just trying to sell them, right? It's not like they weren't making partnerships with Nvidia. I mean, with Microsoft and Google and all these other players that had some they knew were gonna keep coming back, right? So I think it's a different from the Bitcoin mining chips, very much different. So I wouldn't compare the Bitcoin mining chips supply chain issue with what we're seeing in the AI servers. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, live stream. Morning. What's going on, Ricardo? Good morning. Let me just show some stuff on stream. Will there be a quantum chip from NVIDIA or an AMD? Let's see this. So, Vin, will there be a quantum chip from NVIDIA or AMD in mid of 2025? I don't think so. I think AMD and NVIDIA are going to continue to focus on developing quantum chip solutions. And we talked about this yesterday, right? If you Google NVIDIA and quantum computing, there's a lot of things that NVIDIA already does for the quantum market, right? It's not like it's standing still. NVIDIA is an acceleration company. Right now, the main acceleration is AI. And AI chips are gonna, in my opinion, last for multiple years from now. Quantum computing could be the next leg up unless we find something between there. But quantum computing is not going to be here anytime soon. Even Google mentions it, right? They're in the research firm state. They're nowhere near in the manufacturing state. And the overall type of environment that you need to kind of run a quantum chip is insane. I don't think anyone's going to be doing it anytime soon in forms of actual revenue solution, in forms of actual market expansion. I think right now we are really good in the research state, and NVIDIA is creating a lot of solutions to be a leader in this space. And I think in the future, they might develop a quantum chip. But right now, it's not that stage. I did do a video about a week ago where I talked about what NVIDIA is doing with the quantum computing. But like I mentioned on yesterday's live stream, NVIDIA also has a very strong quantum computing video. And hopefully I'm getting it some views. About a month ago, they talked about, developing the workforce for quantum computing revolution. And they talked about what's the difference between quantum computing and your traditional computing, what's some of the solutions quantum computing is useful, what are some of the bottlenecks of quantum computing. So if you're very serious about the quantum market and don't know where to start, I recommend this 8-minute video. I think you'll leave with a lot and a lot of information. Now let's see. What's going on? Bonjour, glad to see you in live stream of last day of the year. I promised everybody yesterday I was gonna do a live stream again. Yesterday we had so much fun. We had a lot of great questions. We had a lot of great interactions. So that's what I enjoy, right? I'm here to communicate with you guys. There's so many questions. Obviously, NVIDIA gets a lot of views, right? And I do NVIDIA videos for many reasons. One, the AI market is so big that the top dog is NVIDIA. And by doing NVIDIA videos, and hopefully you guys are also seeing this, by doing NVIDIA videos on a daily basis, we get to see where the AI market is expanding. And then we can kind of think, okay, look, we're seeing NVIDIA focused in this space. What are some companies that can grow in this space, right? We're learning how the AI is innovating. Unfortunately, there are some videos that I would like to do, but don't get too much views in the algorithm. And I think these live streams are the best places where I can either cover those topics, I can answer questions from you, the viewers, that I might have not covered in those NVIDIA episodes. So I'm hoping these live streams are going to be a great value for you, the viewers. So that's my overall process. I don't really want to share too much about what's happening in the market right now. I don't really want to play look at the stock charts every single second. I want to answer and provide value to you guys. No, and also pretty interesting. If everybody's so excited, Intel I think has their own Intel quantum chip. I don't know if they sold off their quantum chip, but everybody's saying that quantum is so revolutionary nowadays. But Intel has, I think they have today announced the release of its newest quantum research chips, Tunnel Falls, a 12 qubit silicon chip, and it's making the chip available to the quantum research community. So again, it's not like quantum computing is new. I think right now the excitement is just a little bit too hype for my taste. Intel, yes, Intel, the company everybody hates because they're so slow, is also working on quantum chip one way or another. Let's see what we go. In it for the long run. What's going on in it for the long run? So Jose Najarro, are you buying Broadcom along with Nvidia? If not, where would you start buying Broadcom? So I've never said anything bad about Broadcom, but I don't like Broadcom as much as I love its competitor. If you are OG to this channel, or just maybe not even an OG, if you've been in this channel for at least over a year, we've talked about Marvell technology. I personally enjoyed Marvell technology a lot more. It's a smaller company. They have a great partnership with Amazon, and Amazon is building a lot of chips. That's why we see the stock up roughly nearly 100% year to date. I think Broadcom is doing a little bit better. I like Marvell a little bit more than Broadcom. With Broadcom, I want to say there's rumors that I've heard from analysts that I highly respect, that and Broadcom gets a lot of their semi-custom revenue from Google's TPUs, right? There are reports that maybe Google might not order as many TPUs as normally in the first half of 2025. Because of this, and hopefully you guys don't hear the vacuum in the background. Because of this, there could be some, I'm not saying a guaranteed, but there could be some correction, because I think the market is saying, hey, look, if you're growing in AI, you have to grow in AI every single quarter. But if next quarter Broadcom actually says, hey, look, we actually saw a bit of a slowdown for the first half in AI chips, and I think they actually mentioned it during their earnings call that the second half is going to be a little bit more heavily associated with AI chips opposed to the first half. Sometimes the market ignores even warnings from the company itself. So right now, I think the semi-custom chip, very similar for Broadcom, very similar to Marvell, are ones that I think are a little bit overexcited right now. I'm happy they're in my portfolio. I wouldn't personally touch them at the moment. If I was, it would be very, very small dollar cost averaging. But I prefer Marvell over Broadcom just because I really do enjoy that partnership, and they have a lot of growth potential, especially since they are a smaller company, right? Broadcom, $1 trillion company. Marvell, the underdog at less than $100 billion. We will need NVIDIA's current GPUs to correct errors that occur on quantum computing. Quantum computing, let me show on stream. Yeah, so what Zero mentions is true. I think quantum computing is at least somewhere around a decade away. NVIDIA is already providing hybrid solutions to help improve quantum computing. And I think the next NVIDIA for quantum computing is going to be NVIDIA. Yep, Alex, quantum computing, extremely cold temperatures to work. My bet is that quantum computers will be run in space and transmit results back to Earth. That's actually a pretty interesting thought. I wonder if eventually we get power in things like Antarctica or some of these cold places, and they might be able to run there. You have to come often live, man. Appreciate it, Aqua. I mean, I'm going to try. I'm really going to try this week. Even though the market's not open tomorrow, I got to talk to the wife. Maybe the wife wants to hang out tomorrow. But maybe every day this week, I'm going to try a live stream. That's my goal. That's my goal. Matthew, pretty sure Blackwell sales are going to blow out analysts out the water. Some still seem confused and shocked by Nvidia, less than this time last year. I agree. I think the market is, for some reason, fearful of Nvidia again. I mean, we were talking about it, how Nvidia is one for the patient investor. I mean, I think we just this month, we saw the stock below 130s, right? And yesterday was one of the few stocks that was green. I think Nvidia is going to have a great 2025. Now, I would be hesitant to kind of add on to Nvidia right now, but I also want you guys to think about it in my point of view. My point of view, I have a big position of Nvidia. It's my number one company, right? So because it is my number one company, I don't want to add more exposure to it, right? It's already over 25% of my portfolio. So I'm a little bit more cautious. I get the ability to be more patient. I can't honestly say what I would do if I didn't have an Nvidia position. Maybe very small dollar cost averaging. Let's see. Hey, Alex, what's going on, Alex? Again, ASML is European, subject to heavy taxes, labor laws, etc. It's difficult for European companies to make money. The only thing with ASML, though, it's such a crucial component of the semiconductor space, the monopoly in lithography. We talked about it yesterday. There's so many different portions of the AI semiconductors manufacturing space but ASML, definitely a player. I believe in the long term, it will do great, just not one I would buy. But let me just continue. Let me just see how how this stuff is doing. And if you guys can, please make sure to hit the thumbs up. It will I definitely would appreciate it. And if you haven't as well, check out my daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com. So free information here, almost on a daily basis. Yesterday we talked about kind of the Nvidia robotics space. So if you want to learn about AI, robotics, semiconductors, definitely sign up. Subscribe to this newsletter right here. So let's see, what other questions do we have? If you have any questions, guys, feel free to post it. All right, we have Cass here, and I'm a little bit behind right now, but do you think Nvidia will launch their own CPUs during CES or early 2025? Would be a huge catalyst for the company and perfect timing considering Intel's weakness and AMD's competition battle. There are reports and rumors that Nvidia is going to release their consumer CPU in 2025 during CES. So I think if this is true, this will be a very bullish trend for Nvidia in the short term. It also will create more negative press for an AMD and Nvidia. I think for Intel and AMD, it would create negative pressure for companies like Intel and AMD. I think Nvidia will benefit dramatically in the CPU space. I mean, in forms of acceleration, gamers use it on a daily basis, right? You need kind of that CPU, and the GPU and CPU acceleration combo would be amazing. With lower power, also easier to accelerate. I wonder if this is happening. I wonder if right now, this is why Nvidia would this is why Nvidia would enter a market. Nvidia would enter a market because they believe the current players are holding it back. So if Nvidia's CPU is released, it means to me that it thinks AMD's and Intel's technology is holding back It's consumer GPUs. Now it depends on where we're going to see these consumer GPUs. Are these consumer CPUs? Are we going to see it in gaming laptops, which is definitely a possibility because you want to kind of grab the most power in gaming solely? Are we going to see this in workstations, which are usually kind of engineering laptops, workforce laptops, AI scientist laptops? That's also a big opportunity because it can give the ability to do a lot of these AI workloads for these scientists, for these engineers at a faster rate. And businesses are going to pay high margins, high dollars for those laptops for their workforce, right? So I think those would be the two main markets. They're going to focus on expensive markets, so high tier gaming and kind of workstations focused on machine learning, focused on engineering, focused on simulations, focused on emulation, focused on data scientists. So if they do release a CPU, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make it to the typical consumer space. I think it's going to be in those higher tier products. Um, Boom, 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 boom. Good answer. Agree. Everything quantum is a bird in the bush. This is fantastic. I see what people are asking. Perfect. Intel was a good scam from Google. 2019, Google also had quantum chip. Right, Stefan, I believe. I mean, even Willow, right? We talked about it yesterday. Willow is just a huge marketing scheme, in my opinion, in two reasons, right? I think first, Willow is great. It showcases that quantum is evolving, and that's very important for the research phase. It's going to drive more people to study quantum computing. It's going to improve the workforce. But I think it's creating an ultimate hype on the stock market right now. That hype can do really well. I mean, we've seen quantum computing stocks do really well these past few months, but not something I would chase. Let's see, Cyril. Jose, will the CES announcement from AMD and Nvidia help the stock price? I ask because I think they will show off consumer products, not AI data center products that are high margins. For AMD, I don't think CES is going to do much for the stock price. Maybe days before it. Usually people start to buy AMD and Nvidia days before the event because they believe. So we're going to probably see some momentum a few days before CES for a lot of these semiconductor companies. It's usually buy the rumors and sell the news. What usually happens is you buy before and you sell before the event. That's typically how these events go, but it's not a guaranteed. I think the only way Nvidia can really see a stock price growth after CES is if they really do announce a CPU with high margins, right? Only CPUs within the high margins. I think the market will love it, love it, love it. Because they are not doing much about the data center space, I think the bigger one for Nvidia is GTC, and that is happening in March 17th of 2025. So I think that's going to be the best event for Nvidia. I own Marvell this year. Fortunately, held. Yep, nice, Matthew. So you own both Marvell and Broadcom. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to cover all the questions, so I might be behind. But hopefully, this is providing great solutions and kind of updates for you guys. So let's just see real quick. I just want to see trading view really quick. Anything that's happening right now. Good morning, brothers. Good morning, The Wink. Appreciate you being here. So let's see. Mobileye is up about 2%. This is hardware and software. Let's look at chips and stocks. So it seems like yesterday we had a huge red day from the market open. Hopefully we don't jinx it. It seems like things are really green today. So I'm pretty excited. I think the semiconductor equipment market is going to have a great 2025. Vin, wait, let's see. I think I missed one. So we also have a question here for Stefan. Nvidia will sell the GB300 to hyperscalers. And let me open up something so we're not just looking at random screens. I'm here just looking at questions real quick. So Nvidia stock, we can see Nvidia is up right now. So Nvidia will sell the GB300 to hyperscalers, in my opinion. Bad news for Broadcom. I mean, I think big tech is going to continue to develop their own AI chips, and they're going to continue. So I wouldn't compare Broadcom with Nvidia, and I think that's the big mistake. Both Broadcom and Nvidia could win in the semiconductor space. Nvidia is just going to win a lot bigger. What about Palantir? They got support from defense department. So I own Palantir. The main reason I was very bullish on AIP is I come from an engineering company that used to be a defense contractor for the United States. And I know how that market is. When I saw AIP, I thought it was crazy. I wish I would have gone bigger. But I think right now, the market is getting pretty much a lot of hype in certain AI stocks. I believe there's a long-term potential for Palantir, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some pull-ups, pull-downs on the stock. This is going to be a very volatile one in the next year, I believe. Thank you very much for the coverage. Do you have any ideas to what CES comments from Jensen might be, and what do you think he could say that might move the Nvidia? What's up, California? California, I'm just going to say, I think the only thing that can really move the stock is if Nvidia announces a new market opportunity for them, which could be the consumer CPU as we discussed. If they maybe talk a little bit more about robotics, and if we see a lot more robots in CES, that can also be very bullish. The only other thing is if he gives us a sneak peek of any AI solutions. Jose, even though Nvidia is the king, do you see opportunity in AFCO? Yes, 100%. I pretty much I hit this question before, right? I think big tech developing their own ASICs is going to continue. ASIC and Nvidia GPUs are two different markets, completely two different markets. I think both could win. You better hang out with the wife on New Year's, or she will think you have another lady. Wives are like that. They can hallucinate like AI. And I'm pretty sure I'm reading these super loud, so my wife will lead me. Alex, if you go missing, I know it was my wife that got you. So I like Broadcom's other business too. Yes, Homer. So that's very true, right? Broadcom has other businesses, especially with this. I'm not sure if SimTech is one I enjoy. I don't really follow it too much. VMware is definitely very bullish. And outside of that, Homer, the networking solutions, right there, what do they call it? Tomahawk networking solutions, stuff like that, are very important for the AI space. So those are other ones for Broadcom. How do you think about No, Ty. I personally don't. I thought it was a great time to scale in the 60s and 70s. You have plenty of videos from me during that time frame. I think for Marvell and Broadcom right now, in my opinion, obviously I could be wrong, but I like to look at things in a risk to reward ratio. I just think the reward isn't as high as it used to be. Right now, for me, Ty, Marvell is one of those small dollar cost average. Now, Jose Najarro, do you prefer ASML or Lam Research? Lam Research all day, every day right now. I think Lam Research is going to benefit dramatically. They focus a lot in the memory space. They have big customers like Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. Samsung, not that important right now, but SK Hynix and Micron are going to do everything they can to be the best memory company, and I think this is going to be great. I think Lam Research is going to be one of the best performing semiconductor equipment stocks for the next few years. So I'm very, very bullish on them. Let's see what else we go. Nvidia grew 75% of my portfolio. That's amazing, Alex. I really have no clue what to do. There's no compelling reason to sell, and I'm too scared to add more instead diversifying into Reddit, ALAB, RBK, Amazon, Lily. Nice, Alex. I mean, 75% is everybody has their own risk tolerance. For me personally, 75% would be crazy, but everybody has their own risk tolerance. As long as you have some plan, right? I know some people always, I'm not saying do any of these, but I know some people suggest things like maybe sell covered calls, right? I think right now might be a wrong time, as I do believe the stock could jump up pretty quickly. But some people would suggest things like sell call, or maybe just reduce a little bit. Everybody has their own personal finance. But for me, 75% is huge. But congratulations on that. I'm hoping for what is going on with MU, despite all analysis. I think most analysis, Kia, I think most analysis don't really like Micron. I think most analysts don't like Micron because most analysts, this is very important, most analysts are looking for the short term, within the next 12 months, what can happen with the stock and the stock price. Obviously, the consumer space is still very unknown, and that can last a few quarters. I think in the long term, Micron is actually looking pretty good. But let's see, Micron analysts. Can we see analyst ratings right now? So 21 have a strong buy, reiterated. Let's see. I'm too broke to own tip ranks. I think it might be actually pretty smart to have. But we see, look, a few days after earnings, we saw like Bank of America decrease their price target. Morgan Stanley decreased their price target. Even Raymond, which is bullish on the stock, decreased their price target. And I'm going to guess these other ones also did the same. So let's see, actually, if we... I don't know a good. I could care less about analyst estimates. We were there already. But I think right now the market is this. I think the market right now is hating on the memory space because they believe the memory space is like the old memory market, very commoditized. I think that's true as long as you can innovate. I think Micron and SK Hynix are going to be one of those is going to be the big winners, at least for this year in 2025. Let's see what other questions we have here. I have some extra money. Would you put it? I mean, these are questions I really can't answer, right? Personal finance. You have extra money. Would you put it in Nvidia or AMD at this moment? In my portfolio, I have a lot of Nvidia, right? So because of that, I'm hesitant to add to Nvidia. I believe AMD is not the next Nvidia, but I believe it's sitting at great valuations. And it's a smaller portion of my portfolio, even though it's number two. I personally would add a little bit. I would probably split it between, if I was really thinking about it, maybe split between the two. But I think AMD would get a little bit more of my new money coming in. The biggest threat to Nvidia is the engineers getting too rich and retiring. Also, who would succeed Jensen? Those are the threats. There are no competitors or market threats, in my opinion. I think true, but I also think that Nvidia, just like any of these big engineering workforces, are always very competitive. Like every engineer just tries to fight to be the best. These people have 10x engineers. 10x engineers are the ones that run the world, in my opinion, that run innovation. 10x engineers are very hard to find, and I think Jensen and Nvidia attract a lot of 10x engineers. So I wouldn't think the workforce is too much of a threat, in my opinion. Jensen, I think is smart, and losing him would definitely be some form of risk. But I also believe Jensen has done really well of creating a work culture that can do well without him. Obviously, the market would react differently to it, but I think Jensen is very, very much of a big visionary that he understands that NVIDIA needs to continue without him. And because of that, I believe the work structure, the work culture that he has developed is one that should be able to continue without him as well. Let's see. I saw ByteDance order 7 billion of Nvidia, including Blackwell chips, but I thought that there were export limitations on selling those chips to China. Can you come? Yes, California. So that's actually a very interesting topic right now. So ByteDance with AI chips. The Nvidia way, Matthew. I got to pick that up. I have to pick up that book. Maybe I'll read it one day. I'm actually. I might pick it up for. I'm going to Florida for about a month or so. I'm obviously going to be doing videos and live streaming there, but maybe that's something I'll pick up on my way there. So yeah, so that's the big issue with ByteDance. ByteDance is buying chips, and this is how some companies are able to skid these exportation laws or U.S. restrictions. They're kind of sending those chips to another country that is able. So in 2022, the United States announced export restrictions on certain kinds of AI chips, countries including China, where ByteDance headquarters is. And ByteDance plans to spend $7 billion in 2025, according to reporting from the information citing inside sources. If ByteDance follows through, it will become one of the world's top owner of NVIDIA chips, despite U.S. efforts. So ByteDance is technically adhering to those restrictions by using a loophole. The company isn't bringing the chips directly to China and is instead storing them in data centers located in other regions in South Asia, according to the information reporting. This doesn't technically violate U.S. restrictions. Now, the reason I want to say is maybe the reason United States isn't really, I think this is going to get eventually restricted as well. I think right now, a lot of Chinese companies are just kind of going with overseas cloud companies to do their AI workloads and some of these workloads. The reason why I believe the United States isn't as worried about this issue is because if they get whiffed, then maybe some AI innovation is happening that could be a massive threat to the United States. They can somewhat have the force in all these other countries to say, hey, look, let me look at what's happening in this data center right here. Let me look at what's happening here. Where if it was a data center in China, China would be like, you're not looking anywhere in here. You're not touching anything around here in any of these data centers. I believe Nvidia doesn't. I think United States has that power outside of in other Southeast Asian countries. So maybe that's why they might not be as strict with something like this. But I think in the next few quarters, we might see this kind of become more of a restriction where, hey, look, even if the data center is outside of China, but you are a customer in China, you're not going to be able to use them. And obviously, that could create some form of short term pain, in my opinion, for the semiconductor space if we see more export restrictions. But in the long term, we continue to see a lot of growth in other markets. So that's how ByteDance is able to kind of skirt restrictions. Let's see what other questions we have. Hopefully, we're covering great questions. Hey, Jose, I love these live streams. Keep it up. Let's see. Robert, what's going on, Robert? Love these live streams. Keep it up. I saw an article yesterday about CoreWeave, who NVIDIA has invested in, and Run AI, who NVIDIA now owns. Do you think there is a larger partnership coming? I mean, I think NVIDIA is going to continue to invest a lot on these neo cloud players like CoreWeave. I don't know. I don't think NVIDIA is going to purchase CoreWeave or become a major owner. I think CoreWeave is actually expected to go public maybe next year. But I don't think there's more to that. I think NVIDIA is just making great partnerships with cloud players, either being big giants or small players like CoreWeave. Maybe I might be missing something, Robert. If you can think of something, feel free to let me know. Can you look into a stock for me? Hendrix, I'll try my best if I know something about it. Matthew, you're gonna be at CES also, gents. I'm so excited. Wow, that's pretty cool. I was just in Vegas 2 weeks ago. Maybe I should have planned my Vegas trip during CES. But yeah, new PC stickers, NVIDIA Inside. Maybe that's the opportunity for investing, buying sticker companies. Take your time. You're a natural. Well done. Appreciate it. So what are your thoughts on VSD, Vistra Corporations? So I don't really follow this company too much. I'm gonna guess with the name, I remember they work in kind of the infrastructure solution. So Vistra, I mean, the best I can do for you today is maybe let's try it. Let's run it. You guys let me know if you like it. So first, what I do is just quickly see if it's something I'm worth looking at. And to see if it's something worth looking at, I tend to look at kind of valuations. So value, nothing too expensive, right? Forward 1 year PE ratio of 17.4. All right, so it's a company that makes money. I'm gonna guess it's not growing too much, but let's see. Vistra, right? Vistra, VST. What else would I do? So now I want to do free cash flow, trailing 12 months. I also want to know about its cash and short-term investments. And I would like to know about its long-term debt. Long-term debt. So quarterly. No. Total long-term debt. So here. So, all right. So this company has a lot of long-term debt. Not something I would like too much. They are positive in cash and they are positive in free cash flow. So a little bit there. Pretty interesting. They saw a huge decline in debt and then a huge growth. There might have been something wrong with the papers there. That might be an issue. But overall, nothing too scary. Now, what I would do next is let me look at revenue, trailing 12 months. Now, revenue expectations. And a lot of these things there's a lot of free ways that you can do it. I'm just showing this way, revenue estimates for next fiscal year and revenue estimates for 2 fiscal years ahead from now. So I just want to see how much of a growth is expected to see. All right, so $14 billion in trailing 12 months. By the end of this current fiscal year, is expected to grow by at least 10%, then another 10%, and then not much growth from there. So it's a company expected to grow on a 10% basis. Pretty interesting, sitting at a cheap PE ratio. So at least in financials, it's looking somewhat somewhat interesting. Now let's go to their website. I want to see their website and see what the company does. So Vistra, we did see, not Vistra, let's just look at Vistra Corporation. Vistra Corporation, a traditional, I want to see, you know, let's just open it. OpenAI. Let me actually pull out. Let me make sure I don't have anything that we're not supposed to. Let me just close it real quick. Let's pull it up. So this is how I would do, you know, let's go full how I would do it. So Vistra 10K report. Their 10K report came out in February 29th of 2024. What I'm going to do is in the table of contents, for those that are not familiar, the 10K gives a lot and a lot of information. The one I'm really cared about is probably business, right? So business is long. So what I would do, copy part one. I'm just copying. ByteDance might install in Malaysia. And sorry guys, you might hear, all right. Here is the business model for Vistra. Can you give me a detailed breakdown of what it does and also give me growth opportunities it sees? And then I would put that, I'm going to use 4.0. I don't want to use thinking right now. I don't think we need thinking for this. So this is what I would do right now. All right, let's get an answer. But I would go a little bit more. I would go to Vistra's earnings transcript. Earnings transcript. I usually go to another place. Sorry guys, if this might be boring. I just want to learn about Vistra right now, and you guys are along with the ride. So I would go to Vistra here. I would look at my transcript. I would copy. Damn it. I'm a little trigger happy right now. My buttons. I would copy their most recent earnings report. I would go back here. So it gave me something. We'll read it in a bit. This is also the company's most recent report. Can you note any changes and share some bullish and bearish thesis? I do have my own prompts that I use that are a lot more tuned. I don't know if I want to share them just yet. But first, I just want to learn what the company does. So integrate retail power generation, combines retail electricity sales with power generation, deliver customer base, approximately 4 million residential. All right, so it's industrial customers across 20 states. Retail operations, one of the largest retail providers, key brands. Generation operations, they do natural gas, coal, nuclear, solar, battery. Business segments, retail, Texas, largest generation and retail presence, East and West, includes blah, blah, blah. Growth opportunities, expansion of renewable energy and battery storage. So it seems like people might be excited about some of the nuclear acquisition. I mean, acquisitions, optimizations of assets, adding about 4,000 megawatts of nuclear capacity through a strategic transaction. And let's see through their overall things. Maybe it's not as nice as maybe I should have used Claude. Anything that I would see. Carbon free. So we can see, I think one of the biggest bullish cases right now is definitely an acquisition of nuclear capacity. Data center growth, active discussions with data center operators for co-location deals and nuclear and gas sites, along with potential new build-out projects. Hedging strategy, bullish thesis, strong financial. All right, so maybe typical prompts like that aren't good. I usually do my own prompts a lot better than that. Looking for things like quotes help out. To be a lot more detail helps out. But I get the quick one-to-one of Vistra already. So electric company, however, all bullish cases is they're kind of looking for expansions into nuclear options. Obviously, with data center growth right now, they're working with data center companies to expand kind of their electricity revenue. They're also expanding kind of nuclear potential plans for these data centers. So that's a potential. But because they are kind of electric company, we did see that revenue growth is not that high. So revenue is expected to grow only about 10% year over year basis. We also see, luckily, that the company is not trading at a crazy PE ratio. So I can see why people might want to diversify with this company. It's usually not something I would touch. But yeah, all right. So that was a little bit boring. My apologies there. Take your time. Jose, are you bullish are you bullish on Marvell and Broadcom? I would say yes. I'm bullish for them in the long term. I think in the short term, there is a little bit too much hype in the short term on ASIC GPUs, but I think Marvell and Broadcom are definitely good place for the long haul. When will you buy back Nvidia? I think I talked about it, Jesse. What's going on, Jesse? I think for me, below 125s would be when I start to get very excited for Nvidia. 120s and 115s, like around those levels. Somewhere between 115 and 125 is when I would add more to my big position. We needed a Green Day, not the band, to end the year. I agree, Matthew. I hope we get a nice Green Day. Things are going good. It's at 9:30, almost 9:30. We'll try to see. Broadcom is catering companies making, let's see. SK Hynix HBM only revenue is about 2 billion. Is it Pandora only about 2 billion? I think it's gonna, I mean, the total TAM for 2024 or 2025 is expected to be roughly 30 billion plus. And SK Micron is already expecting multi-billion dollars in HBM this year. Finally, wanted to ask about Skyworks, which I have owned for years, along with MU, Avcom, but has done nothing for a long time. Do you have any opinion in Skyworks Catalyst? So Skyworks, I mean, I believe, what do Skyworks work? Are we green yet? Are we open yet? Yeah, we're opening. So Marvell Technology, let's look at charts really quick. I just want to see what we're starting off with right now. Let's look at my plays. All right, so we're seeing a lot of green. Let me just pull up charts real quick. I mean, some popular names. We have Tesla, 425, up about 1.8%. Even Intel. I mean, if Intel's green, we're going to most likely have a really green day. Intel is up 0.81%. We have Click up 0.95% on semiconductor. Where AMD is up. Where do we have Nvidia? Is Nvidia up right now? Nvidia is pretty much flat. It's red. It's red. About 0.01. Again, I could care less about prices right now, but just an overall showcasing of what's happening in the market. We're seeing a lot more red than initially pre-market. I'm hoping we end at a green day. It would just be nice, right? It's just a random day, but it's the last day of the year, so I would definitely be hoping for a nice green day. I think Aehr Test Systems is going to have a great year. But before, let's look at CNBC real quick, see if anything is happening here. Stock rise on final day of 2024. S&P heads for second year in a row with 20% gain. Hey, can we do 3 years of that? That would be pretty great. These stocks had a big 2024, and analysts think the party is just getting started. And what stocks are these? Oh, I thought I was signed in. Sign in? Oh, I'm not signed in. Okay, I guess I'm not signed in. The number one, let's see, stocks making big moves right now. Anything interesting? Oh my God, CNBC with your lameness. All right, screw you, CNBC. We're going somewhere else. Let's see, what else do we have? Nvidia stock. Oh man, Hey guys, if you can, make sure to hit the thumbs up. I definitely would appreciate it. Just a random plug-in while I'm getting my thought process, drinking some water. Check out my newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com. Pretty cool name, don't you think? Don't you think? It's a pretty cool name, What the Chip Happened, instead of, yeah, you know. Well, anyway, subscribe if you can. I really do appreciate it. Free content there. Usually at least 3 pieces on some semiconductor topic. When earnings come out, and earnings are coming out, you're not going to want to miss it, right? I'm going to be covering a lot of the earnings through this newsletter on a daily basis. So make sure to check that out. Like Matthew said, smash that like button, smash and just show some love. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get some questions. Where were we? So California, I don't follow Skyworks too much. I know I missed your question. I was going to discuss it in a bit. I'm going to do a little bit more research on it, California. Come back on another live stream, and this is how I'm going to hook you in. Come back to another live stream, and maybe I'll have a little bit more research as well. And next quarter, we'll reach about 3 billion. Oh, Pandora. I have to look a little bit more at the revenue. Homer, let's see, Homer. Man, I'm pretty lagging on these questions. 22 minutes ago, Homer, I'm sorry. Again, questions keep coming in. Keep them coming. I'm going to try my best to answer them. Nvidia's printing money, but paid a trivial Nvidia. Can you help us follow the money? So you're asking, what is Nvidia using the cash for? Right? I'm hoping that's the question. That's actually a pretty good question. Really good question. Nvidia is pretty much... So let's look at free cash flow this most recent quarter. So free cash flow this most recent quarter for Nvidia was a whopping $16 billion in revenue, in free cash flow. Remember, I think this is insane. This is insane. Revenue this quarter was about $32 billion, $35 billion. So almost 50% of free cash flow is coming from revenue, or 50% of revenue is going to free cash flow. Now, where's Nvidia spending that money? So dividend, how much did it pay out this quarter? Is it just going to give me sense? It paid about $245 million in dividends. Not much in dividends. I could care less about dividends. I think it's just funny that Nvidia gives us about a penny. So it's not in dividends. Research and development, is that the case? Quarterly, I don't think so either. I think it spends like $4 billion. Yeah, I'm good with this. I'm good with this, guys. About $4 billion. It does about $3 billion in research and development, and is still doing great. So not research and development. Where else could this company be spending money? Maybe buybacks. Buybacks is one of the places is spending somewhat money. It spent about $11 billion in buybacks, all right? Where else is it spending money? If we take a closer look at the cash and short-term investments, we're going to see that huge growth. Nvidia right now is pretty much piling up that cash. So we saw it's not spent. Let me take some of these out. So it's not doing dividends. It's still doing pretty impressive in research and development. Stock buybacks is kind of one of the main places right now. But where it's really kind of helping out, it's look, that cash and short-term investment from just last year has almost 2x. That's where most of the money is going on. And then the other thing is, if we look at long-term debt, total long-term debt, it is coming down. So let's kind of take some of those numbers out, but only $8.4 billion in total long-term debt. In theory, this is how I think about it. In theory, they can pay off their cash in 1 quarter if they really wanted to. Yeah, free cash flow is high. I don't think we're going to see it in dividends anytime soon. We're going to continue to see it in buybacks. We're going to continue to see it in cash and short-term investments. We're going to continue to see it in research and development. I did a video about Nvidia and this question, I want to say maybe a month ago. And Nvidia's CFO, Colette, mentions that she doesn't want to be a company that's cash heavy. So she's going to focus on improving her research and development first. That's number one. That's their number one thing to do, research and development. The second thing they're going to do is try to get innovation into new markets. So the first is research and development for their current strength, AI. Next is focus on research and development on other industries, on markets that haven't even come up with. So they're looking on things, maybe things like robotics, right? Things like healthcare. That's the next thing. Acquisitions in that.
After they do all that, they're gonna think about increasing their buybacks, and I think the last thing they would do is increase dividend. But Colette, she mentions there this is not a company that wants to be cash heavy. I think I think there's got to be a magic number. Nvidia is probably gonna get maybe somewhere about 50, 70 billion dollars in cash, and then there's just gonna be using that cash like no tomorrow. Um, so yeah, what else? So I'm about 22 minutes behind on this. We have a question. 25 minutes. I'm 25 minutes behind now. Matthew, love this live stream. I hope you still feel the same. Appreciate it. Micron's HBM is only 10% of market share, so much than less a billion. If SK Hynix is over 50% with two. Yes, but this is growing. And remember, Pandora, the main thing about HBM is it is taking supply from consumer low margin products, right? Because you have that 3-to-1 ratio. Do you see demand for AMD's AI chips in 2025? I think in the inferencing market, Alex Fit, and I'm gonna try to power get it to down to 15 minutes. Do you see demand in AMD's AI chips in 2025? Yes, from inferencing. Not a crazy growth like Nvidia though. We're not going to see that type of growth, but I think there is going to be a market for AMD's AI chips, especially as we're going to inference thinking in things like O1 and O3 models, and AMD's chips being a little cheaper in forms of final cost, not total cost of ownership, which is very important. But I think there is going to be some demand, not as high as Nvidia. Memory doesn't have a moat according to analysts. Very true, Alex. This used to be a thing. The memory market didn't have a moat. I think now with HBM, it is creating a moat, and only the best and the best can provide. Diana, thank you for the valuable information you provide. Give Jose a thumbs up, guys. Appreciate the support, Diana. Jensen will never retire. You know what I think, Cyril? Jensen is going to be the first AI CEO. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Jensen is going to create all his thought process in some form of AI. So when he retires, the AI knows how his mind is evolving. So I'm calling it now, Cyril. You just gave me that idea. Jensen's going to be the first AI CEO. A lot of patents from HBM is from Nvidia, TSMC, but SK Hynix has really good yield and working with them to develop. Very true, Pandora. Also, Micron is now working with them for things like HBM4 as well to kind of develop them. Good yields there. Jensen is the smartest man alive, currently reading. I think we talked about this one. So yes, I am expecting to read that book as well, The Nvidia Way. Homer, I'm happy with how Nvidia is run. I need to learn how they are investing in new features or products for a very long run. You don't have to worry, in my opinion, about Nvidia missing out any of the trends. They are a market maker, not a market taker. So very important there. Let's see, Nvidia is down right now on the day. Jensen will pass the baton on the AGI humanoid robots in it for the long run. I think you just this was what I also mentioned. I lost the counts of data center buildouts and demand because it's too much. I agree. I mean, we've heard from Dylan Patel in the recent BG2 podcast that analyst expectations on capex for 2025 is way too low. Overall, that's bullish for the company. Alex is also reading on the NVIDIA Way right now, and it's a really good book. I guess we have to pick it up. TikTok set up a base in Texas. The CEO said that many times. So then maybe they might build some of the data centers there. Good morning. I have 177,000 in NVIDIA and need to diversify. I kept all my shares and some dry powder, 28K worth. I purchased Broadcom. Was this a bad move? Robert, I don't think it's a bad move. I think any move is usually not a bad move when you're looking at it in the long term of things. I think, Robert, there might be a time where you might think it's a bad move, and you just have to remember that you did it for a reason. So as long as you have a plan, Robert, I think you're gonna be fine. There might be times where you might be like, "Oh, snap, I shouldn't have done it," but then you're also gonna be times where you're gonna be like, "Hey, look, this was a great thing." Greg, Paul idea. Would viewers like to assess a new company from scratch at some point so they can learn your thinking process using AI to look at earnings transcript, etc. Deep dive live. I think that's just too boring, Greg. It takes, especially for me, I would be quiet for a lot of this process. I get it in my head a lot. I really do. So hopefully I try. Hopefully with these live streams, you might see a glimpse of the craziness that goes on this head. This craziness is just me thinking, um, and hopefully maybe I provide some value with that. What is the use of CT systems and AMD? So this is actually probably one of the few reasons I'm also very excited about AMD. I thought I was catching up, but I'm 22 minutes behind. Oh my goodness. I'm 22 minutes behind still on questions. So I think CT Systems is very great. AMD is normally known as a company to build chips. And this is what NVIDIA used to be. You just used to build chips, right? And that's it. You let the market do whatever you want with your chips. Now, the bad thing about that is if you let the market do what you want with your chips, it takes them a long time to finally come up with a solution. So NVIDIA says, hey, look, you guys take too long. I'm going to design the chip, but I'm also going to design the system for it. So you don't even have to think that much. You just come to me, buy my chip. I'll tell you how to build this system and you'll be good to go. I'll tell you all the cool stuff. So AMD saw, oh, look, this allows a company to build data centers at such a fast level, especially at such a rapid AI innovation speed. You want to have your data centers or your solutions being built out in months opposed to years, because now, this is also very important, because now GPUs and AI chips are coming out in 1 year cadence, right? So if it takes you a few months to build out the data center on the MI300X, but then in 6 months from now, after you finish building, the MI325 came out, what's the point of me even buying that MI300? NVIDIA doesn't do that. They're like, okay, you buy the GB200 right now. You're going to have that system running up really quickly because we've designed the whole system. So you can run it for 8-10 months, and then you can come back later and buy the GB300 and still run it for a long time as well. So NVIDIA sees that, AMD sees that, and they need to be able to build a system. And that's why they are acquiring a CT, right? To be able to make it a lot faster for them to build those systems. So now it's not like, hey, look, it took me 8 months to build a system and you just came out with a new product. Is it going to take me another 8 months to do that when I could just buy NVIDIA system and have it done in no time? So that's why AMD needs that CT system. I own VST. I think this is when I was doing it. Skittles, appreciate it, Skittles. So say maybe the most, I'm nowhere near the most intelligent. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the most genuine. I try, I just, thank you, appreciate it. I don't, those are a lot. Helpful, hopefully. Humble, hopefully. Honest, hopefully. Genuine, hopefully. Intelligent, definitely not. There's a lot of smarter people in this world. I just really enjoy the semiconductor space. So let me just say, I am competitive. If I would say I am the best YouTuber when it comes to bringing semiconductor news in a way all type of investors can learn from it. That's my overall goal, and I don't think there's anyone that does it better than me. There's obviously other players that have more knowledge in the semiconductor space, but I don't think they can break down that knowledge so us, every traditional investor, can use it, right? And I think that creates a form of barrier, a barrier that, hey, look, you're talking in technical engineering terms. We don't always have to talk about everything in engineering terms. We can just bring it down to just typical investor level and we can all learn from there. And I think that's where I'm the best at doing it. So there is some competition, and I think, well, maybe my subscriber count doesn't show it. I'm definitely the best here in the semiconductor market space. Whew. Hi, Jose. Can you please explain the cyclicality of the AI market? When the market is saturated, should there be need of new equipment every 3 or 5 years? When will the market saturation come? Jan, this is, Nis. I'm also the king of mispronouncing any names and mispronouncing everything. So my apologies there. No disrespect. I think that's the magic question. The AI market has never seen this. We're just in the first build out of AI infrastructure. So what do we know of where is the end? How is it gonna stop? We've seen it historically where too many companies just build out too much infrastructure. And everybody always says it's different, but most of the time it's never different. Who knows? Maybe this time is different, but who knows? It might not be different either. But I think that's the magic question. And we don't know. It's such a new market. The only thing that we have to see is how is AI innovating. Whew, Rojas, appreciate it. Let me drink some water. The only thing I would say is we have to see how AI is innovating. If AI is innovating at a rapid pace, if there's no stallment, if we see new technology coming out on a 6-month yearly basis, it's going to continue to push revenue, it's going to continue to push investments and innovations in the AI space. So as long as that continues, we're going to have really, really great year for overall infrastructure spending. So it's all dependent on how AI innovates. We hope ByteDance might install in Malaysia. We talked. That's pretty interesting. So we have Slim. AMD's acquisition will it help AMD for providing red scale solutions like Hopper. Yep. Hopefully I covered that. Thanks. I hope my Nvidia family prospers greatly in 2025. Agree, Robert. We're gonna do it. I jumped the gun here. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, Jose, you mentioned you'll be in Florida for a month. I'm in the Naples area for the winter. I love to buy you a drink or two. 13. Appreciate it. I'm gonna be. I'm not too familiar areas of Florida. I'm usually just in the East Coast, in the space station area, around where all the space flights go. I really enjoy that area of Cape Canaveral. So I'm not sure how far Naples is from that area, but I would definitely take that up. Maka, QLR Technologies. Not too familiar with that one. Maybe we can cover it in an episode. Opening time. Man, I'm still lagging. I'm 20 minutes behind. Let's see. The next generation models will require significantly more GPUs due to computational demands of running complex simulation alongside learning processors. Again, and also very thing, we're just kind of, there's also other types of learning data sets. We have text. We can also learn from video, images, chemistry, and so much more, right? So everything can increase the amount of complexity in AI training. Oh, AI market is growing, going back up. Let's go, man. Let me ask a quick poll. Quick poll. I haven't done that. Will the market be green? And by market, I mean Nvidia. Who cares about the market? By the end of the day, I'm not gonna remake the question. All right. So let's see. Any other questions? Am I missing? Do we have some people on these live streams? I don't really know. I'm just enjoying it. We have plenty of questions. I'm hoping I'm providing some value to you, the viewers. Let's see what else we have. Boom. Hold on. I'm looking at my questions now. Am I... Boom. A true... Pandora's filled with knowledge here. A true AGI should understand the world through simulation, using them to model, predict, and reason about complex systems and interaction in a way that mirrors human and experiential learning. Very true. How do you think about the current level price points of ARM? Ty, you're gonna hate me. I feel like most of the stocks I've mentioned I'm not a huge fan of. I think ARM is an overvalued beast. I really do. I think ARM 126. Everybody's very excited about this. I mean, obviously they get good commissions with data centers being built out. I'm pretty sure the CPUs that are going to go into the robotics markets, into the robotics companies, are also going to be ARM-based. FPGAs tend to also have Cortex cores, which tend to be ARM-based as well. So there's definitely growth opportunity from ARM Holdings. I think this is a stock that is very reliant on the consumer space, though, because of their dependency on the mobile industry, on the PC industry, and those industries tend to be cyclical. So with that cyclicality, I think ARM Holdings can give us better buying opportunity, can give me a better buying opportunity. So, I mean, I've been wrong about ARM Holdings, but it's just one I personally wouldn't add into my overall thought process, or my overall portfolio. Sky is the limit for AI in the future. And then for the long one, I'm hoping. Rail, Robert Costa, I am retired. Congratulations. I feel like I'm retired, right? Doing this makes me feel like I'm retired. Smash that like button. Appreciate it. I get newsletter. Thanks. Good name. Matthew, appreciate it. I get to see who subscribes. I definitely saw you subscribe. Appreciate it that there. Thanks, Jose. So Matthew, I don't like dividends. I want them to use the money. I agree. Dividend is slow. I think it's too Oh, really? I did not know that, Matthew. See, sometimes I'm not too familiar with what happens with the overall market. I did not know you have to have a dividend to be supported in the Dow. Smash the rockets, explosions. Thank you. What do you think of Unity? V, I think I'm actually going to do a video on that. Unity is one stock that I followed a lot in 2023. 2024, with the excitement of AI, I really just started to focus all my energy in semiconductor space. But Unity is something I might be looking at a little bit more. What do you think of InnoData? InnoData. Not sure. Akawa. Maybe I might just be blanking out, but I'm not sure of that right now. So let's see. Great CFO. They have a lot of cash flow. Hello, good people. What's going on? R. What's Nvidia's stock prediction by 2030? Could this be volatile to reach? It's 2030. If I was to guess, what company could make it at a $10 trillion by 2030? I think there will probably be two names. Two names. Nvidia would be one of them, if it's possible. If AI continues to grow. I'm gonna guess. What do you guys think is my second company? I'm gonna give you a guess. It's one of the Max 7s, and it's not Tesla. But Tesla maybe, if robotics is actually two. But I don't know. I wouldn't put number two. It's not Tesla. But I mean, if AI continues to evolve, I can definitely. I mean, why not? I just said it's not Tesla, but I can see why people would think it's Tesla. Amazon, nope, not Amazon either. Intel, yes, Ross, Intel first. I actually, oh, definitely not Apple. I'm not an Apple fan. Greg and Pandora got it right. It's I think it's Google. If there's one company to make it to the 10 trillion, if I had to choose one, it's Google. And the reason I think it's Google is Google gets so much hate because it's not a king in the AI. I think Google is actually the king of AI. It's not Microsoft. Google just doesn't release its products to the consumer space. Google is also the best at designing chips. It's right. Everybody designs their own chips. We have Google designing their own chip. We have Amazon designing their own chip. We have Microsoft designing their own chip. We have Meta designing their own chip. Just like Nvidia is this to AMD, I think Google is this to every other big tech player in developing their own AI chip. And I think that's a huge moat. They have the huge AI infrastructure. They have huge amounts of data. They have huge amounts of semiconductor solution knowledge. That's the secret. That's the secret. Those are the secrets to being the king of AI. Data, infrastructure, and semiconductor equipment. And I think Google is the best at that, at having all three. They probably also have a lot of great engineers, but I think all big tech players probably have great engineers. But I think Google is the perfect trifecta if the AI market is going to grow. Let's see. So Homer, I think maybe that might be. Maybe if Jensen ran Google, Google would be a beast. But I think Sundar lately has been waking up. My Google CEO, did I mess up his name? But Google CEO, I feel, is waking up. Microsoft CEO is also a savage. I feel like Microsoft CEO has the dog in him as well. He definitely does. That's the only thing I think Microsoft is really good at, though. I think that CEO, he might seem chill, but he seems like there's a dog on Microsoft. Like there's something lighting up Microsoft CEO. And I really like that, right? Let's see. There's 100% in existing AI digitals right now. Imagine working with two Jensens. That's going back to me saying Nvidia is going to be the first AI CEO. Yeah, exactly, Giannis. They have cloud, Waymo, AI services, so many unknown bets. So yeah, I definitely believe. I love to listen to Nvidia podcasts. Here you can see the future development. Oh, the AI Nvidia podcast. You know what? I haven't ever listened to it, Pandora, but you have some great knowledge. I think I might actually have to look into it. Love your streams. Thank you so much. Question. Microsoft said they are energy constrained. David, I think that was taken out of context. I think they are, if there's just not enough power right now. If they had enough power, they would be back to being a chip constraint. So it's just which one is the biggest bottleneck right now. The biggest bottleneck is just power right now. But I think if power wasn't an issue, we would go back to issue number one, which is, hey, look, we're just energy, we're just chip constrained. So I think many people were overthinking that issue. Which will hit 4 trillion? Unfortunately, I think Apple will. I mean, I'm an Apple hater. I'm definitely gonna say, Kin, you're the best semiconductor analyst. Love your content. Appreciate it. That makes me very happy to read. Um, Thank you, Jose. Learned a lot from you, Ty. Thank you for the support. Jose, you happen to be in the Bay Area. Let me know. We'd love to meet semiconductors. I would love to go. I mean, I think maybe one day I'll just travel. I don't know. Now, I would make family trips and find the ways to also do business trips out of it. Greg, so this is one that I haven't really talked too much about. And Oracle, I don't know, Greg, if you watched my first video on Oracle for 2024, I mentioned that the biggest opportunity for Oracle was that the market did not see it as a threat in the AI infrastructure. And it was trading at way cheaper ratios than all the other cloud players. It was trading, I believe, in the teens, right? Compared to Google, compared to all those other players. I think that has changed now. I think if we look at it in forms of these big guys, like it's no longer trading at that cheap valuation that it used to be, right? So obviously it's still cheaper than them, but I think the market now understands Oracle a little bit more. So it's that I'm not selling any of my positions on Oracle. I don't know if I'm adding. I've been thinking about it, Greg. I think for 2025, my big cloud play is going to be on Google and not on Oracle. I'm not selling Oracle. I'm not bearish on Oracle, but I think right now the opportunity is on Google. Should I wait before buying Palantir stocks? I think there's a lot more people that are more knowledgeable on Palantir, Dean. I'm not one of them. But for me, I just think maybe the stock is getting a little bit excited. I think in the long term, and this tends to happen with a lot of companies. I think that's what happened with Nvidia, right? Year to date, in the past 6 months, the stock hasn't moved too much. It's only up 10% in the past 6 months. But year to date, the stock is up 184%. Maybe that's what might happen to Palantir, where right now it's seeing that nice growth, and maybe eventually it's just going to have a quiet season. So I don't know. I don't know about if it's the right time to buy it, but it's definitely seen a nice reaction lately. Skittles got his first ever What the Chip Happened newsletter today. Thank you. Appreciate the support, Skittles. Yes, and Frank, thank you. Semis are kings. Semis are definitely kings. Robert, actually, we talked about this at the beginning, Robert. Quick, too long, don't watch. It seems like this DeepSeek was actually trained on the outputs of OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0 and Claude. So because of that, I don't think it's a real revolutionary for them. It just showcases that maybe you can just copy the outputs and get a good model, but you still have to generate the good model. So Google. Sorry, Hendrix. Can you please look at Robotics and Nebius, all companies associated? You know, I'm not gonna cover it. I'm about to end stream pretty quick in a bit, but I'm gonna add these three companies: Serve Robotics, Rich Tech Robotics, and Nebius. Nebius, I think, is a cloud provider. So I'm gonna try to do that one. Those in a bit. What's relationship between Nvidia and Oracle and Nvidia and CoreWeave? It seems to be both get preference in AI chips, but CoreWeave is still preferred. David, I think these are just the first companies to really adopt a lot of Nvidia solution. Oracle, that was another thing that I really enjoyed about Oracle when I invested in 2024. Oracle was one of the few players that was taking anytime Nvidia announced anything, Oracle was the only one to take it all in. There were some solutions that Microsoft wouldn't take. There were some solutions that Amazon wouldn't take. There were some solutions Google wouldn't take. But one cloud provider was taking everything, and that was Oracle. If you watched my video on 2024 or January 3rd of 2024, when I mentioned Oracle was one of my top plays, that was one of the bullish theses. Is you saw Oracle just saying, Nvidia, yes, I love to see that. Nvidia, I'll take that from you. Nvidia, give me more. And I thought that partnership was very smart, and it got Oracle to, I believe, being one of the best performing cloud providers stock. So let's see, Oracle. So sometimes little things like that can make a big change. So Oracle year to date up 60%. What is Microsoft year to date? 14%. What is Amazon year to date? 48%. What is Google's year to date? So I'm happy with my call. Yep, 38%. I'm happy with my call. Oracle, just sometimes just that partnership means a lot. And just seeing, hey, look, Oracle is taking a lot of this from Nvidia, is going to give the opportunity to be a big player. And I think Oracle did that really well. I think it can do it again in 2025. So I'm still jumping between the idea of what would be my top cloud player for 2025. I think it's important to invest in them. It's either going to be Google or Oracle, but that's going to be something for a later thought process of my mind. Let's see, how many questions? Am I behind a lot? I'm kind of screaming through. You should go. I should go to GTC. I should. You know what though, Matt? My little one is turning 2 this year, and it's been an amazing time being a dad. And sometimes it's like, would I rather travel and take time away from seeing my little one, or do I just want to see my little one? And sometimes that's just what stops me from going to some places. I know once he gets older, I'll be like, screw it, I'll be in GTC every single year. But I think right now, maybe I'm just prioritizing a little other stuff. RX, let's go RX up. I sold Oracle. Best of luck. I mean, I think Oracle, I think the opportunity had in 2024 is not going to be as high as 2025, but it can still grow. All roads lead to the Rome. Agree. I was 100% in it when I watched the Oracle video. I was cash constrained. Nice. At least you watched it, right? At least hopefully you understand my thought process and I'm not just making stuff up. Jose, as an Nvidia investor viewer, would you ever visit? I don't know. I mean, other YouTubers get to go. I guess I'm just not big enough to I guess I'm just not big enough to get any attention from YouTube. It's from Nvidia headquarters. Who knows? Maybe someone here at Nvidia headquarters, let me know. Can I pass by and say hi to the team and thank you all for all the hard work? Oh man, there's too much. All right, I actually caught up. Do you think Intel will rocket soon? There's Intel, in my opinion, Intel once had 2 months ago. Intel had potential. I think Intel's board messed up a lot by getting rid of their CEO. I think their CEO was one of the things that was gonna lead in this space. Actually, I can't. Usually my streams were supposed to end at 10. I tried to answer all the questions. There might have been some I missed. My apologies. Let me know on I'm going to hook you in. Go tonight, obviously, every night I drop my NVIDIA or semiconductor video. If there's a topic I didn't cover there, just post it on the comments or just watch my last video and just post some questions you want me to cover tomorrow. I will be live streaming tomorrow. But Michael, all right, Michael, last question here. Michael, what are your thoughts on Lam Research? Bullish on Lam Research. I think Lam Research is going to be really well. I think 2025 and 2026, I don't know which years, but one of these years is going to be really good for the equipment space. And I think Lam Research is going to benefit. So guys, appreciate the support. Thank you guys. Thank you. I had fun. Hopefully we can do this again tomorrow. If you guys enjoy it, definitely give me a thumbs up. Appreciate it. And now I always forget how to do this. So it's going to be awkwardly me ending the stream really quick. But take care, guys.